Well, we have to answer that, we have to talk about the consequences of an Israeli response. Iran has made it clear that it won't tolerate any response, proportional or disproportional, it doesn't matter. Iran will then proceed to destroy Israel with thousands of ballistic missiles. And Israel, as good as they think they are, they don't have the ability to preempt the totality of Iranians' ballistic missile capabilities. They may be able to destroy a couple launchers here, a couple missiles there, but Iran has the capability of deploying thousands of missiles. The Iranians also recently came out and said that Hezbollah's long-range missile strike capability has been restored. I guess there was a period of time where command and control and confusion had diminished it, but that it's restored, which means now Hezbollah will be able to throw its weight in. The Houthi have also demonstrated an ability to strike, as have the Iraqi militias. But the bottom line is Iran has made it clear that any attack against Iran will result in the destruction of critical infrastructure in Israel, up to $100 billion worth of critical infrastructure. We're talking about power plants, desalination plants, power distribution plants, oil production, gas production, energy distribution, critical lines of communication. These are soft targets. Iran has proven that the Israeli defense shield doesn't work, that these targets are all literally sitting ducks, and they will be destroyed. This will take Israel back to the Stone Age. So now Israel has to decide, is Iran bluffing? And I think the answer is no, Iran's not bluffing. So I don't know what Israel is going to do and when it's going to do this. I would also be careful about reading too much into the Biden phone call. The Biden administration understands that this is a death sentence for Israel if they attack Iran. And it's designed by Israel to draw America into a war that it can't win, and it politically Biden can't afford to fight right now. The conversation, if in the lead up to the conversation, Biden had been promising Israel that if they not attack critical sites in Iran or avoid an attack altogether, that Biden will open up the armory of America and give Israel whatever arms they want, as if Israel needed more American bombs to put on American planes to drop on civilians in Gaza and Lebanon and murder them. But the United States apparently thinks it's okay to kill innocent civilians as long as they're Arabs. But he also said the United States will back Israel up, and this is an important point diplomatically, that the United States will make sure that Israel never suffers a diplomatic defeat again. Shortly after that phone call, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations met with the Security Council, and for the first time threw her weight behind two United Nations resolutions calling for an immediate ceasefire and Israeli withdrawal forces from Gaza. The United States had been blocking these resolutions in the lead up to this. Clearly, the phone call between Joe Biden and Netanyahu did not go well, because what the United States has done immediately is demonstrate to Israel that you are going to pay a price. And here's the first price you're going to pay. We're not backing you in the United Nations anymore. And if you want to continue doing this, understand that the international community is already calling for your head on a platter. We aren't going to be blocking them anymore. And this is something for Netanyahu to think about, because in addition to the United States not willing to participate in an Israeli attack against Iran, and Israel can't really sustain an attack against Iran without American participation. And the United States, even though they say they're ready to defend Iran, demonstrated that the American ships aren't capable of shooting. We shot down 12 missiles. Well, we fired 12 interceptors, where I'm assuming that they hit 12 targets. But these were advanced SM-3 interceptors. You know how many SM-3s we make a year? We fired 12. You know how many make in a year? 12. So we fired a year's worth of SM-3 production. We don't have that many. And Iran's going to fire, the next time is going to fire over 1,000 missiles and probably repeat it with another salvo of 1,000. So 2,000 missiles will be inbound. Israel can't defend against that. Israel will be destroyed. And nothing the United States can do to prevent that. But here's the scary thing, because if Israel gets destroyed, and it will, what is Israel going to do? And the thought is that Israel may use its nuclear weapons to retaliate against Iran at that juncture, because it's become an existential struggle. But Iran has just put the world on notice that it is now a nuclear power. It didn't say we have a bomb, but what they did say was fascinating. They said that Previously, we didn't build a bomb because of a fatwa issued by successive supreme leaders, Ayatollah Khomeini and now Khamenei, who said that weapons of mass destruction are incompatible with Islam. But now you've got a senior member of the Expediency Discernment Council, which advises the supreme leader on all issues, national security and internal domestic issues, which, of course, religious fatwas are. A senior member of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. These are the soldiers of the supreme leader, religiously oriented, and now you have the Iranian Parliament, a senior member of the Iranian Parliament coming out, and they're saying that Iran must build a nuclear weapon. Now, they wouldn't be saying this unless the supreme leader has said what they have all said, that the fatwa can be changed if there is an existential threat to Islam in the Islamic Republic, which an Israeli nuclear strike would represent. And if the fatwa is changed, then Iran would pursue nuclear weapons. You don't make this kind of statement. This is known as declaratory policy. You don't make this kind of statement unless you're ready and willing to back it up. And I think that this statement was made at a time when Iran has assembled all of the components of a nuclear bomb, deliverable by an Iranian nuclear missile. The only thing that's missing is the fissile material, which Iran can produce in a matter of days because they've accumulated a significant stockpile of uranium hexafluoride enriched to 60%. Uranium hexafluoride is the feedstock for the centrifuges that Iran has to use to enrich uranium. And Iran has configured several cascades of their most advanced centrifuges. When I say advanced, these spin things up quickly. These aren't the old IR1s, IR2s. These are the IR4s, 6s, 8s. They spin very quickly. They'll feed this 60% uranium hexafluoride in. Instantly, it will be 96 to 98%. That's what's needed for a nuclear bomb. They have the ability to convert it into metal. If they use a crude gun-style device, that means they just have to calculate the critical mass principles, take out a slug, put it in the gun device, fire it at the appropriate time. An explosion in the device fires this uranium slug into the uranium core. It goes critical. We have fission, and we have a 15 to 20 kiloton nuclear explosion over Tel Aviv, over Haifa, over Beersheba, and it's the end of Israel. This can be done instantly. All the components are in place. That's my assessment. My assessment that Iran is now a de facto nuclear power, which means that there will be a nuclear retaliation against Israel if it uses nuclear weapons against Iran, which means Israel ceases to exist. It's a small country with tightly certain population density points. It takes 3 to 5 nuclear weapons, and Israel will never exist again, ever. And this is a reality that the United States now has to deal with. And remember, we're talking about successive American administrations, from Barack Obama to Donald Trump to Joe Biden, who said that Iran will never be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon. Well, thanks to American policy now, Iran has nuclear weapons capability, which means that if we want to get involved in the game, they'll be able to retaliate against us too, not in the United States, but against American facilities in the region. This is a game-changing event, and what this all boils down to is that America has put world peace and our own national security interests and the survival of nation states in the hands of an insane genocidal maniac named Benjamin Netanyahu, who Joe Biden is on record with the reporter Bob Woodward, who's publishing a book soon, is saying that Benjamin Netanyahu is a crazy son of a you-know-what. He's insane. He's a liar. He's the worst human being on the planet. This is the President of the United States saying this about the Israeli Prime Minister, and yet now it's come down to the Israeli Prime Minister having all of this power in his hands, because the decisions he's going to make in the next couple of days are decisions that will impact everything I just talked about. The world's gone insane that we've allowed this apartheid-supporting, genocidal, murdering son of a you-know-what to have this much power and influence in the decisions he's going to make. I think the United States needs to do more to put pressure on this guy. You see the Biden administration, making frankly speaking, and I'm no fan of Joe Biden. I think anybody knows this, but some very at this juncture, late in the game, very late in the game, but um, you know, courageous decisions because we are in the final month of a very contentious political election here for the presidency of the United States. And Joe Biden's preferred candidate, Kamala Harris, of course, will be impacted by any policy decisions that Joe Biden makes. And traditionally, it's very, very difficult for American politicians to do anything that is seen as negative towards Israel. And yet now we see the Biden administration taking steps that aren't pro-Israeli in nature to confront them at the United Nations, to have a contentious phone call, the contents of which will undoubtedly be leaked to the press in the near future. Um, this takes some political courage because the easy step is just to kowtow to the pro-Israeli lobby and do what every American has done before them. But it's become impossible for the Biden administration to turn their backs on the imagery that all Americans are seeing now: the decapitated babies, the flayed babies, the dismembered babies. Every day on Telegram, you see them in Lebanon, in Gaza, in the West Bank, a result of the brutal deprivations of this murderous Israeli government headed by this genocidal maniac, Benjamin Netanyahu. I think that the reality of the horrors of the Israeli crimes are such that they've created a new political dynamic in America where it's now possible for an American politician at the level of the executive to stand up to Israel. We keep sending them money to kill babies, um, but now we have a situation where we have Americans in need in Florida, in Georgia, in South Carolina, in Tennessee, and North Carolina. Millions of Americans who've lost their homes, who've lost electricity, who've lost running water, missing, loved ones missing, people dead, communities in total devastation. And we don't have enough money for them, apparently. Um, and yet we're sending money to Israel. I think we've reached a tipping point in the United States where sending money to Israel is no longer a politically viable option. And therefore, it's become easier now for Joe Biden to stand up to Israel, especially when what Israel's doing is so horrific that even the most staunch pro-Israeli, person in America is starting to say it's too much. We've got to find a way to ratchet it back.